decent shot.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Bomani Jones. It's our second day working together, Pablo. Did you imagine doing this for 16 years?
I'm Pablo Torre, and whoa, I'd be like 35, I think.
Oh, man, what, you were 11 years old when you graduated from high school?
11 and a half.
You were just giving up your lunch money, huh? Anybody want lunch? I'm paying for lunch.
Of course, one of us actually did go to college when he was 16 years old, and that was not me. That was, in fact, Mr. Jones.
You didn't have to do it like that. Welcome to Pardon the Interruption. Tony and Mike are off trying to rekindle their relationship, so I'm joined by my good friend and future co-host, Pablo Torre.
Happy birthday to Julio over there. Wow.
There you go. And we begin with Ryan Tannehill, who will be out for a while. He tried to play through a partially torn ACL, and he'll either have to take months to rehab or have surgery that will end his season. That may open the door for Jay Cutler, current broadcaster and former Adam Gase quarterback, to walk in, but he may want starting quarterback money. Pablo, Smoking Jay worth that money, or should the Dolphins put their faith in Matt Moore to hold down the fort?
I don't think the answer is either of those people, and I say that because the longer I look at the Dolphins, Bo, the more they seem screwed. Because Ryan Tannehill actually was a pretty good quarterback with a particular set of skills, so to speak. Our friend Cian Fahey, the Irish football analyst, has pointed out that in terms of long, short, intermediate passes, he's about top 10 in accuracy in the league. That's hard to find a replacement for. In fact, if I'm going to pick a replacement for a guy who can step into that offense immediately, it's not Cutler, it's not Matt Moore, it's like Tony Romo. And I don't know if Tony Romo is going to come in and swoop and save the Dolphins' day.
All right, now look, I generally trust Cian when he talks about these things. Where we tend to diverge is Ryan Tannehill, right? Like, I have not been wild about Tannehill. I've never seen it. I've been going back to college with Tannehill, wondering when this actual Ryan Tannehill I keep hearing about is going to emerge. It's not even a grudge. I just don't see it. But here's the thing. If the answer is Jay Cutler, there is no answer. Right? There's no point of this. If you think that Jay Cutler's the one that can fix this, then you probably have bigger problems. Now, if Cutler wants starter money and you're not even sure that you're going to need him to be a full-on starter at this point, that's not going to work. I would go with Matt Moore. They probably have one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. He played pretty well last year when they did put him in there. No, we're not. Jay Cutler is not coming to save the day. Jay Cutler normally does things that then require someone else to come in and save said day.
So Matt Moore was pretty good. He, I believe, was excellent against the Steelers. But one of the things that is interesting is that, and to bring up another person from your football preference chart, he's a little Alex Smith. And I am surprised to hear myself condemn someone by pointing out that someone's a little Alex Smith, but Ryan Tannehill can throw that deep ball. And that offense with Matt Moore, I don't think is going to be as swift. But if I'm advising Jay Cutler or Tony Romo, for that matter, Bo, go be a broadcaster. Go try and stay Charles Barkley. Try and be in Instagram stories with your wife. Because one of the things about the Dolphins is that offensive line is not really going to save you. Because Ryan Tannehill, we know, got knocked around as much as any human being in that league.
Let's just go ahead and take a moment to bring up the fact that we have already been like, oh, this Kaepernick thing is not going to happen in Miami. We're going straight to Jay Cutler. That's where we're going here, is Jay Cutler.
There were columns seemingly pre-written that have been published that say that's a bad idea.
Are you sure Jay Cutler is dedicated to football? Does he need to come out and tell us that he really wants to play?
Is he a football guy? But we also have some NBA in our NFL news cycle, because Mark Cuban told the Washington Post that Colin Kaepernick would not experience the same problems if he was an NBA player. Cuban said, quote, "I'm glad the NBA doesn't have a politician litmus test for our players. I'd like to think we encourage our players to exercise their constitutional rights," end quote. So, Bo, do you agree with Cuban that the NBA would have encouraged Kaepernick's protest?
Help me out here. Do you see it? It's sucker written across my forehead. Because I feel like Mark Cuban seems to believe that sucker is written across my forehead. One, unlike the NFL, the NBA has it in its rules where it says that you have to stand in honor for the national anthem. Number two, we have examples of guys who have been on the business end of the NBA when they run afoul of people's political perceptions. Craig Hodges being the biggest one. He was out there shooting in that Rawlins jersey in the three-point contest because he couldn't get a job after he presented George Bush at the White House with a list of things he could do to help the black community. There are questions about how exactly it went with the end of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf's career. And, of course, Adam Silver, in the aftermath of Kaepernick, as we got towards the dawn of the NBA season, made excuses before excuses even needed to be made to explain why it is that's probably not what you should do, and we like peaceful protests, but we want you to do other things. We know the NBA would not be welcoming of this because it was less than a year ago when they were not welcoming.
I love the NBA. The NBA is far more of a progressive, enlightened society than the NFL is, but man, so much of that is because Adam Silver, in comparison to Roger Goodell, looks like freaking Aristotle. Like, that's what this is really about, because when you get down to it, the NBA, has an interesting legacy about respectability politics. The NBA was the sport that pioneered a dress code. The NBA is a sport that also, by the way, has pointed out, yes, we have coaches who are politically adventurous. Yes, we have superstars who are willing to say things. But the NBA is a business. It is a business. Adam Silver is not out here doing things to sacrifice money. He is really, really good at the specific act of threading the needle between principle and business. And this is one of those test cases where we're finding out people are still super uncomfortable, even in a black league.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I could be hard on Adam Silver because I do believe he talks a better game than is actually there in application. I thought the way he handled what might be their own Kaepernick situation was indicative of that.
Sure.
But the NBA has one difference between the NFL. The NFL right now, in this situation with Kaepernick, they seem to be concerned with people who actually watch their league. I think they're too concerned, but I do think it's people who watch the league they're concerned with. The NBA is perpetually concerned with people who don't actually watch the NBA. They're always dealing with I hate the NBA guy and the specter that this is a black league. So they do a lot to try to make the black league a bit more acceptable in the blackness as it is there. Just remember, the NFL, after Kaepernick told guys pretty much team by team, do whatever it is that you're going to do. The NBA said, y'all ain't about to do that. No. You're not about to mess up the money for us.
And the NBA is the game where we did have LeBron and Dwayne Wade and the Banana Boat crew stand on stage at the ESPYs and give a pretty impassioned public speech about blackness in America, about gun violence, police violence, and all of that. But it's worth pointing out that allowing your stars to do that is also good for business, right? Like, this is the litmus test. Is it actually good for the product if you're alienating, quote unquote, these people?
Yeah, that
the people who love college basketball.
That also reeked of respectability politics, what they did at the ESPYs. It was just so different than anything else that we let it ride. But moving on, Tom Brady talked to assembled reporters for the first time since February and was asked about his wife Gisele Bündchen's statement that he suffered a concussion last season, one neither he nor the team disclosed to the media. I don't think that's anybody's business, Brady said in reference to his medical history. I'm focused on this year and improving and working on things I need to get better at. Pablo, is Brady right that he owes no one an explanation?
It is not our business unless our business is the one where everyone's salaries are publicly available on these online databases. It's not our business unless our business is the one where medical information is, for better and for worse, a key element of the human stock market that is professional athletics. Like, I agree, it's uncomfortable. If you're asking me as a human being, is this kind of dehumanizing? The answer is yes, it is. But in terms of, is this part of the implicit and perhaps explicit contract that an NFL player or pro athlete makes in exchange for the great sums of money that they get paid? I'm inclined to think, yeah, this is kind of like an ACL, and it'd be weird if Tom Brady wasn't telling us about all his ACL tears.
Yeah, but the fine line here, his medical history is none of our business. For example, it was none of our business how many fingers Jason Pierre-Paul still had. He did not owe us an explanation on what that situation was, and it got ugly when we found out what it was, and he was not the person who told us.
Sure.
That being said, it is our business and it is the league's business if the Patriots knew that Tom Brady had a concussion and they did not disclose it. It does become the Patriots' business if Brady had a concussion and did not disclose it to him. But he does not owe that explanation to us. Granted, this is just a way for him to push this off. And to be fair, we're not really in this because we're so concerned with how this affects Tom Brady. We're like, ooh, I think the Patriots was cheating. And then we go and we ask more questions about it. But no, he does not have to tell us whether or not he had a concussion. He doesn't have to tell us how many concussions he's had, any of those things. That being said, his wife didn't have to tell us either. And she did. Don't be mad at me. I'm not the one who's snitching.
Well, I was going to say, it's kind of a no-win situation for Tom Brady because either he does admit to having all of these concussions, which we all know by now, or these hypersensitive pieces of information that no team really is comfortable disclosing like they would another physical injury, or he says, my wife was lying. And so if this is the two options ahead of us, yeah, I kind of get what Tom Brady is saying. Actually.
Yeah, either my wife was lying, that hadn't worked once.
No.
Anywhere.
No.
Ever.
Not if you're Tom Brady, and especially not if your wife happens to be a hyper-powerful type A person like Gisele Bündchen.
Or she's just your wife.
Or she's just your wife, fair enough. Speaking of medical disputes, by the way, Paulie Malignaggi objects to this photo posted by Conor McGregor's camp that showed Paulie on the canvas. Paulie said it was a knockdown, so it was a pushdown, not a knockdown. And then he quit as McGregor's sparring partner, daring McGregor to, quote, release the video of what really happened. Bo, is any publicity good publicity, or will Malignaggi saying he beat Conor's ass turn off people from buying this Mayweather-McGregor fight?
I mean, on this fight, I guess any publicity is good publicity, because I would think all the publicity surrounding this fight has been bad, but the interest for the fight keeps on ramping up.
Somehow.
What I love about this is, look, Malignaggi is an actual boxer, right? He has to think that this is a farce, just like everybody else thinks that it's a farce. And so he then steps past the fact that I am a professional boxer. This is what I do. I will indulge this and help this non-boxer learn how to box. I'll even get out here and sell that he's getting better. And how do you repay me? You say that he hit me down, right? Me, professional boxer, in front of my friends. You betray me in this way, and you make me a foil for this dude that I swear I was beaten up and down the whole way. I don't know how this affects the fight in general. People are going to watch it or they're not. It's going to be a big fight party. It's going to be the thing to do that night that's going to ruin my birthday.
Your birthday,
That being said, though, for Malignaggi, can you imagine being in that place? And you're telling me that this amateur, this scrub, this dude off the street, y'all are telling him that he knocked me down? Knock me down right now. Knock me down right now.
Well, here's the thing. Controversy does sell. We agree on that. But the controversy that this is so much less interesting from the potential fight fan perspective than the other terrible controversies that have been engineered. Because Paulie Malignaggi, controversy around him and whether he knocked you down or whether whatever, that's like arguing about whether you needed training wheels while preparing for the Tour de France. This is the gap between Floyd Mayweather and Paulie Malignaggi. So from that perspective, yeah, this seems like something that is not going to do much for me.
Look, let me tell you the difference between MMA cards and boxing cards. MMA cards, by and large, from what I can tell, people who are watching those are there to watch the actual fight. In boxing, on something of this magnitude, we are here for the fight party. And this has already been sold as a great fight party. And a fight party is what's going to make you spend the money and have your friends over, maybe put a little something in the pot to ultimately cover it. But the event that this is going to be, the spectacle, when this week dials up, we're all going to talk about how terrible it is and how this isn't something that people should be out here doing. And then all y'all are going to watch this fight, and I'm going to be asking people to kick it with me for my birthday, and they're going to be like, yeah, after the fight.
But is there a possibility, let me be conspiracist here, is there a possibility that Paulie Malignaggi getting beaten and then objecting to actually winning, is this part potentially of Conor McGregor enlisting Paulie Malignaggi to help him play possum and lure Floyd Mayweather into a sense of overconfidence?
That's a level of cynicism that's beyond anything that I could even consider.
Exploding brain.
Malignaggi know damn well Floyd going to beat the brakes off that dude. Let's take a break. But coming up, the Clippers take away Doc Rivers' GM responsibilities. What does this say about his future with the team?
And Terrell Owens won't be inducted into the Hall of Fame tomorrow, but will he be wearing a gold jacket next year?
I mean, in theory, I guess he could buy his own gold jacket, right? They sell those in stores.
What is your birthday strategy for that day?
I don't know.
Because I can't watch the fight if I'm with you.
Pardon the interruption is brought to you by Sprite. Cool, crisp, refreshing lemon lime Sprite. Want a Sprite?
Many doubted I would wear the gear. No one doubts my extrasensory perception. Let's get the first call.
Hey, Pablo and Bomani. My question is, do you see a bright future for Doc Rivers with the Clippers?
Doc Rivers will no longer be the general manager of the Clippers. He is giving up those duties. It sounds like he's keeping the full $10 million salary, but he will not be the GM. And how bright is the future? If the franchise player left because he got tired of putting up with you and the results have been disappointing and you had two jobs and now they're saying you better focus on your one, you better be damn good at that one.
Doc Rivers had precisely 0 draft picks of note in 5 years. So brightness, I think, for the Clippers is in the cards, but I will also note that that brightness may hinge on the existence of one Jerry West, who may well be 79 years old, but has the kind of 79-year-old perspective that I want from older people about climate change, which is to say that he may be 79, but he cares about the world he may have to leave behind him. So thank God he has a long-term perspective.
Look, man, bottom line on it is this. Coach plus GM rarely works out well. You're just asking for too much, and it's two different jobs. And that's how Doc Rivers stayed getting guys either he coached himself, coached against, or played against in the driveway.
Yes.
What we got now?
Hello, fellas. This is Greg. Do you agree with Faye Vincent and see national sports gambling coming soon?
So gambling is this thing that when you say it, oh, that's a big change, but this feels like prohibition, except pretty much everybody is moonshining. Like the President of the United States has a casino empire, right? The fact is, the President of the United States, historically has picked NCAA brackets. Fantasy sports is a thing. The NBA Summer League is in Vegas. The NHL has a team in Vegas. The NFL has a team in Vegas. All of this stuff is adding up to a reality that says we're ready for gambling, and it's just time for them to actually take control, them being the leagues, of the money at hand.
Well, you mentioned prohibition, right? This is a lot like legalized marijuana. When they started legalizing, my question was, who is it that's now all of a sudden going to be like, okay, now I can do this?
Right.
And the answer is more people than you'd think. Like in Colorado, they started having weed night at the Symphony. There was a bunch of people that wouldn't have gotten down like that otherwise. So, yeah, your hardcore gamblers, they're going out and finding ways to do this now. As you make it legal and you make it more available, you are going to have more people that go out and try. And the question is, how do the leagues get their piece of the action? What we got now?
Hey, guys, I know he's not going in tomorrow, but do you see Terrell Owens being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame next year?
Yeah, you know, so there's a lot of hateration, holleration in the dancery when it comes to the NFL and Terrell Owens in the Hall of Fame. He's unequivocally a Hall of Famer. He should be in the Hall of Fame right now. The writers are exacting their revenge on him for not liking him very much, so he's not in. Is he going to go in next year? Would you like to hear some of these first-time nominees that we've got next year?
Who do we have?
Ray Lewis.
Okay.
Randy Moss. Brian Urlacher.
Yep.
Rondé Barber. Now, Rondé Barber, probably not a first ballot guy, but probably will get into the Hall of Fame at some point, which means T.O.'s not going into the Hall of Fame next year.
I don't think he will either, but this is the lesson to all of the athletes, even the superstar athletes who may play in Super Bowls and get 122 yards on a broken leg. Character issues will befall you if you are mean to us. Just be friendly to the media. Just butter us up. It's really easy. If you call us by our first name, we will think that you are a demigod, and you'll be wearing that yellow jacket right on time. But because he did it, guess what? Yeah, you're being punished.
Well, I bet he called guys by their first names and then said stuff after it. That's probably more problematic. Do we have more future telling stuff?
Hey, fellas. Do you see tomorrow as Usain Bolt's last race?
Oh, Usain Bolt, he got through his heat today at the World Championships. This is the last time he's going to run the hundo ever, the greatest Olympian of all time, perhaps. He's not coming back, though, right? Like, there's no way that he's coming back at this. If for no other reason than he's slowing down. That 9.58 that he ran was a long time ago, and he hasn't come close to running a time like that, which is what he did at the 2008 Olympic Games. There's nothing else for him to do. I thought maybe he'd transition into being a long jumper or transition into running the 400. No, he is that dude. Why keep doing this?
That is where we find ourselves, because on the one hand, this thing is so easy for him, where I'm inclined to think, yeah, he's just not challenged enough. But at the same time, as you pointed out, he's kind of slowing down, so it's simultaneously not as fun for him. But the thing that I think about with Usain Bolt is we basically see him every 2 and 4 years for a glimpse. But other than that, he doesn't seem to feel the need to want to be in the spotlight for us Americans. And so if he is kind of that averse to the attention on a 24/7 scale, I'm inclined to think that, yes, this is the end of Usain Bolt, which is very sad because he's freaking fun to watch.
He's the most incredible sporting thing
there's ever been to see. He taunts people while winning. And this is all we ask for.
The 9.58 is the craziest thing that I have ever seen. It looked like fiction. It looked like science fiction. All right, phone lines are closed. We're going to take one last break, but in our future, I see us discussing Tiger Woods' latest offering on social media.
And the deal is done. Did Charles Oakley pay too high of a price for his run-in with security at Madison Square Garden?
When will this stop being funny?
Never.
What are you going to do with that one right there?
Oh, my God.
Off me.
And those security guards' favorite player? Charles Oakley, the security guard of NBA player.
Happy time. Happy 68th birthday to John Riggins. Before the kids these days thought Mohawks were cool, Riggo thundered through opposing defenses with that ridiculous haircut. There hasn't been a Hall of Fame running back quite like him since. But I can't quite put a finger on what's so different about him. You got anything, Pablo?
Is it no other player has drunkenly told a Supreme Court justice to loosen up, Sandy baby, as John Riggins did at the National Press Club in 1985?
Has something to do with the fact that he could get away with that. Yes, happy anniversary to Nolan Ryan. On this day 24 years ago, the living definition of old man Strumpf gave Robin Ventura a series of noogies none of us will ever forget or stop laughing at. Ryan said he was ready to fight after Dave Winfield nearly decapitated him after charging the mound in 1980. That was the day the Ryan Express learned you don't have to get ready. You can stay ready.
And here's my favorite thing about that, because you know who was not ejected from that game?
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan. You know who was? Robin Ventura.
Should have known better, man. That man's a Texas legend. Do that on your own turf.
That is incredible. Shout out to umpire Richie Garcia for engineering something like that.
Happy trails to some Bahamian lobsters. Or at least one Bahamian lobster, the one in Tiger Woods' hand in this picture he posted on Instagram. He's got a much fitter waistline than Kobe Bryant, perhaps the most compelling argument that golfers are, in fact, athletes, and not just rich guys swinging sticks and wasting land.
He has two things that scream, I really want to be in the military, as was alleged in that great story by Wright Thompson. Number one, those traps. And number two, those sunglasses, man. Those are intense.
Yeah, I mean, really though, with Tiger Woods, what else you got to do other than lift weights? Although I think that lifting weights would be bad for your back. And maybe that's why his back won't get right, because he's addicted to the iron. He can't stop pushing that iron. Maybe that's what it is. No errors today. Let's go to the big finish. All right, the Seahawks ejected Frank Clark from practice for clocking a teammate in the head. Your thoughts?
I thought this was the point of Seahawks practice. I thought that's how the Legion of Boom rolls. But the NFL, they're saying Ezekiel Elliott jumping into a Salvation Army kettle would still be a celebration penalty. Are you disappointed?
I mean, we've been disappointed. Also, imagine if given the chance, he's going to jump in that kettle one more again and give him the 15 yards. Charles Oakley cut a deal that would keep him away from Madison Square Garden for a year. Is that justice?
Can we start the Free Oak chant here? Free Oak, Free Oak, Free Oak, Free Oak. We get the point.
Yeah, okay.
Ryan Lochte returns to competition tomorrow for the first time since the Rio Olympics. Bomani, you must be excited.
Yeah, I'm thrilled, man. I just can't begin to tell you enough. There's nothing I want more than a Ryan Lochte interview, so we get him with all kinds of pearls of wisdom that are banging around in that head. Hey, last one. Yu Darvish has his first start for the Dodgers tonight against the Mets. Expect him to dominate?
I do, because he's Yu Darvish and the Mets happen to be the Mets. So, yeah. Also, he's half Asian, man. Come on.
Changing leads. In fact, is he half Asian? Is he
half Iranian? Half Japanese?
That's an Asian. That counts.
I mean, this is a longer conversation than time for.
Asian round time. Thanks for watching. I'm Bomani Jones.
And I'm Pablo Torre. Have a great weekend. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast.
Enjoy Caravana, Canada.
Ooh.